Now let's talk about Quick Search and Changes tab. What is Quick Search? Quick Search provides a summary of basic information and workflow status for a single KSN. This feature is a fast method to find out what role your item is in and if it has completed the process to become operational. Use the drop-down to select criteria to search for. What's really nice about this is whenever you select the criteria, an example of the criteria that should be entered displays under the search criteria field, right here. And the three most common ones that are going to be the most useful to you will be the KSN number, core item number if you have serious items, and UPC. So here in this example, we can see the KSN. You may remember that this is actually a 9-digit number, but in IMA, you actually have to leave off that dash and check digit for quick search in order to come back with any search results. So here in this example, you can see that they did omit that dash and check digit at the end. In this example, a core item number was selected, and you can see the example that they gave. It's a 3-digit division, the dash, and then the item number. The status for this is existing, and next steps is blank because there are no next steps. This is already operational. Whenever you do a quick search for an item, you will always see the KSN listed on those search results. If it's a Sears item and the core item number has been created, then you will also see that core item number listed. So in this example, UPC was selected, and you can see that they did give an example for the UPC. The status for this item is in process, and next steps lets you know that it's actually in the vendor role and that there's action required from the vendor in order to get this approved through to the next role. So at the bottom of the page, you'll notice there's this graphical depiction. You can see workflow roles, hold state, bridging, operational. When it hasn't reached a role yet, it'll say not reached yet, and it won't be filled in with a color. Workflow roles actually refers to any of those manual roles that we talked about in session 1. So that could mean vendor, merchant, inventory, or supply chain. And you'll see that it also gives a date when it first enters this role. So this means that the creation process started on 9/29. Whenever it's still within a role, that box will be filled in with green. Let's go back to the previous page here. So in this one, we can see that all of the boxes say complete, and they are all filled in blue. So that lets us know that this item is operational. Whenever a role has been completed, it will be filled in with the blue and say complete. Alright, so in this example, the status says existing changes pending. Under next steps, it says it's currently in the workflow role. Well, like I mentioned, workflow role can actually indicate any of those manual roles, so vendor, merchant, inventory, or supply chain. So this doesn't really give us enough information to know which role is responsible for action on this item. So this is existing changes pending because it has been operational, but there is currently a pending change request, and so that's what is holding up the item from being fully operational again. One of the things that you can do when you don't have enough information on this quick search page is you can click the Changes tab, which is over here on the very far right. It's going to be the tab furthest to the right on the page. So now, looking at the Changes tab, we can see under Workflow State that it says Vendor Create/Review Entity. So that means we know there's some action by the vendor required on this item. Alright, so after making changes to an item, the merchant or inventory analyst keeps telling me to approve my items, but I'm pretty sure that I did. And when I do a quick search for the KSN, it shows that it's in the merchant role. So here in the screenshot, you can see it says it's in the merchant role. So what's going on here? Is your merchant or inventory analyst just not looking at quick search? It's not necessarily the case. So part of the item might be in the merchant role, but part of it might also be in the vendor role and requires action. Unfortunately, Quick Search can only tell you a single role that your item might be in. So if you click the Changes tab, you'll be able to see some more information. So in this one under Workflow State, we can see that a lot of these do say vendor, and then the core item is in the merchant role. So with this particular item, the vendor approved it, it went to the merchant role, the merchant started completing their fields, they created the core item number, and then maybe they realized that something needed to be changed by the vendor, so they returned it to the vendor. Well, the core item number always will stay in the merchant role when it gets returned, but everything else is in the vendor role. However, Quick Search can only tell you a single role that it's in, and it usually will tell you the role that is the furthest along in the setup process. So you would need to be sure to go back as the vendor and locate this in your returned items task list, make whatever changes they wanted you to make, and reapprove it. Keep in mind that if you hold up the setup process, you're holding up the date for when the item can actually be ordered and get to the stores. Okay, we're going to look at a few examples, ones that mostly fall into this category where it's existing, changes pending, and it says entities currently in the workflow role. So again, that's not enough information, so you would want to click the Changes tab. So this first example we have, this item has change request pending in the vendor role. So if you look over here at type, you see CHG, that means change. Under change detail, we can actually see what that change request is. It's a cost change request. Under workflow state, it says vendor review / update. So this means it is currently in the vendor role waiting for review. Most likely the merchant created this change request, and cost is one of those fields that has to be approved by both merchant and vendor. So the resolution for this would be to approve the item through the vendor role. Any change request initiated by other roles will be found in your general task list. Newly synced vendor packs will be found in the New Item Data Catalog task list, indicated by OPR New. Other synced changes will be located in the Data Catalog task list and indicated by CHG. So these last two resolutions, these are for slightly different scenarios, but similar. If you have synced over a new vendor pack, that's also going to be in your New Item Data Catalog task list. It'll say vendor review / update here under workflow state, and you'll need to approve that. And then if you've synced over any other changes from your Data Catalog task list, they'll also be in your New Item task list. Sorry, if you sync them over from your Data Catalog provider, they'll be in your New Item task list, indicated by CHG. So in session 2, when we worked through the New Item grid, I did show you how you can use the filters at the bottom of your task list screen to filter out new items, operational new, or change items. Alright, so in the second example, if someone created a change request and the workflow state column displays create change request, the change request was not approved. So here we can see under workflow state, it says create change request. So somebody created the change request, they saved it, and they just forgot to approve it. This happens a lot. So resolution, if this is a change request that you initiated, go ahead and click the workflow tab and approve the change request through the vendor role. If somebody else initiated this change request, you would want to contact the user who created the request to approve it. So over here on the very far right side under Initiator, you can see the user ID of the person who created this change request. So again, if this is your user ID, that means you created the change request and you need to approve it. And if it's somebody else and you know who it belongs to, maybe it's a coworker or maybe it's your merchant or inventory analyst, you can reach out to them to let them know there's a pending change request that they forgot to approve. If you don't recognize the user ID, you can reach out to IMA help at searshc.com and they will help locate whoever this ID belongs to and help get that either approved or deleted. Alright, third example. This item has a new vendor pack and it's currently in the vendor role. The initiator is eCatalog, which means the new vendor pack was synced over. So over here, we can see it's new, vendor pack, workflow state, vendor create/review, initiator eCatalog. So this is where you have synced over a new vendor pack from your data catalog provider. So the resolution would be to load the new item data catalog task list, locate the OPR new items, and then place them on a grid, complete the required fields, and approve. Quick knowledge check. True or false? Quick search does not always provide enough information to determine which role requires action on the item. This is true. Additional information may be needed and can be found on the Changes tab.